Now that I think about it, it's like 3 out of the first 4 stories got something to do with a mother and son. That's weird. That's weird. That was not planned, but I think it's just an interesting coincidence. Tonight, hey Norman, what's going on? Listen. Eric and I were just about to have some good times, with our friends, the Jeffersons, and those guys from Cooley High and Sanford in the sun. Where you going, Norman? The rent's too high, and so is the cost of eggs, milk, electricity. So listen, I'm gonna give you 30 cents extra. And fun fact, one of those coins isn't a quarter. Don't spend it all in one place. And I saw mommy kissing my teammate. Hey, what the? See these stories and more of what we're talking about on this week's episode of The Blackman Show. Welcome to the BS. Now let's go. What is good? Ladies and gentlemen, I am Seven Blackman, and this is The Blackman Show, a place where we can take a look at the news with a little bit of 7 cents. And I have to apologize to y'all. I had every plan to get out the live of Ask a Blackman segment last Friday, but then system started systeming, and so we got a little bit of greatness deferred. But never fret, my pet. We will get it this Friday yet. Bars. Also, we got some great gear created for you by our friends at Bandana Boy over on Etsy. So be sure after the show to check them out. But otherwise, hit that like and subscribe and grab your favorite Beyonce latte of choice. Now let's get it. So I wanted to start off with a quick update on your boy toy du jour, Matt Rife. It seems the not even 30 yet comedian can't keep his name out of controversy. So you remember the episode from 2 weeks ago where I discussed your boy and how his recent Netflix stand-up special didn't seem to go over well with his female audience, right? Many of whom believe that they made him who he is, so I can understand them being or feeling some kind of way, right? Then he did start off the Netflix special with a DV joke, so I can't exactly see that going over well with people who feel like they made you. Regardless of how you may feel about that joke, I'm personally of the mindset like Patrice O'Neal, that sort of comedian, right? When he said that basically there are no off-the-table topics when it comes to comedy. So sure, there's always the possibility of insensitive or comments coming across poorly, but I think if at the heart of the essence, you're still talking about comedy, then at least you gotta let him try, even if he's not gonna be successful, right? That said, old Maddie went into an interesting place when confronted by TikToker Bunny Hadeya's 6-year-old son. In a post created weeks ago, her son, who basically enjoys all things space, decided to respond to Matt's comment about the ring of Jupiter.
Man, just because Jupiter has a ring and you don't, doesn't mean...
Causing her son to say, and before I play it, I'm sure this is with her urging. Maybe I'm weird. Maybe it's just me not having that much faith in the social media interests of a 6-year-old, but in my thinking, it's not like you see 6-year-olds just interested in internet beef and champing at the bit to jump into the ring with the latest and greatest comedian du jour making jokes about women. But anyway, he said this.
It's Saturn to ask the rings. And it has more also, and you're mean to girls.
And so Matt responded with more stuff that shows why y'all were upset with him in the first place, basically. But he responded saying, Jupiter has a ring. Oh, and Santa isn't real. Your mom buys you presents with the money she makes on OnlyFans. Good luck. I know everybody's upset. Y'all want to be upset at the dude. How dare you say this to a 6-year-old? Why is a 6-year-old talking to an adult like this, and why do y'all think it's okay? See, y'all okay with precocious 6-year-olds or precocious children talking to children and even encourage that, but then when somebody responds in kind, then y'all got a problem. See that? It doesn't. No, if you're old enough or think you bad enough to give it, I think you should be bad enough to take it. But maybe that's just me. So this caused Bunny to respond, talking about how she never has done anything risque or shown any part of her body in that way online. But I don't think you get it, Miss Bunny. Honestly, Matt responded in kind. You came for him and he let you know what it was. Period. Dot. Because look, I honestly think it's shameful to put your adolescent child out there to say the things that you want to say to adults with no filter, hoping that the adult will bridle their tongue since it's a kid, then getting upset that the adult responded. I mean, I'm sure Matt knows nothing about this woman, but this woman also knows what she's doing. And I'm not saying that she did all this preemptively to build up her bread, although she does have 9 million views. But I'm also of the mindset that once Matt responded, she had no problem in keeping the party going. But what do you think, you two? Is this just the price of fame, or is Matt just punching down at the babies? I personally think people using their children to pay that same price of fame are worse. And I'm looking at you, Octomom. So you may have heard about the very interesting similarities between the Fox sitcom Living Single, which followed the lives of 6 Black 30-somethings finding their way through a 90s era Brooklyn, New York, and Friends, an NBC sitcom which followed the lives of 6 white 30-somethings finding their yada yada yada. Well, it's not new news to learn that Living Single was actually the blueprint for Friends, okay?
Living Single was a jumping off point for another huge sitcom on NBC, right?
Yes, Friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was interesting because when Living Single came out, shortly thereafter, Warren Littlefield, who was president of NBC, they asked him if he could have any show on television, any of the new shows, which one would it be? And he said Living Single. It was in the newspaper. And the next thing you know, here comes Friends.
Fun fact, the cast of Friends, who all ended up multi-millionaires, didn't even know they were replicas, evidenced by Friends actor David Schwimmer stating how he didn't care that there was a lack of diversity on their show because he knew the times, and even broke his arm trying to self-congratulate himself for being very conscious to have his character date women of color, which, I mean, when you think about it, really just lets you know that there was nobody who was going to upstage Rachel on the show. But I digress. Now, this led to a quick response from my favorite Living Single actress, Erica Alexander, who said, "Hey, David Schwimmer at Friends, are you seriously telling me that you've never heard of Living Single? We invented the blueprint. You're welcome, bro." Winky face. I mean, like, if ever there was a time when somebody was acting like, if it don't happen to me, it ain't happening, this is it. So basically, Fox Network in its fledgling stages gave Black shows a chance because they needed views, and they knew that there wasn't much content for Black viewers, but at the same time, they also knew they weren't gonna pay anybody. So in come shows like Martin, In Living Color, and Living Single. So why is this important? I personally think it's necessary to know the history of things as best we can, and that helps us to better understand where we are today. And that leads me to the recent passing of Norman Lear, sitcom and Hollywood pioneer, but also a thief? Well, perhaps if the claims prove to be true of Chicagoan Eric Monte, nay, Kenneth Williams, seen here. God bless you, brother. I know times is rough, so God bless you, brother. But he was also a former Cabrini Green resident, addict, and most of all, he was a writer as well. One thing I can say about this that I just love about my people, we don't forget shit. I mean, we may not own the methods of media or any of the networks that push it, but one thing we do have is great memories. Your boy Tyler Perry took his Medea dress off to give props to Norman Lear, whose name has been linked with some of the most memorable sitcoms between the 70s and early 90s, including shows like Maude, where Florida Evans' character was the homeworker of B. Arthur.
They say these things are supposed to relax you. Well, I'm waiting.
Now look, Florida. Honey, have you seen a doctor recently? No, it might be possible that you're going through... Look, when women get to be at our time of life,
What do you mean our time of life? You don't know how old I am. You forget. You people don't never know how old we are. That kills you, don't it?
Her character was eventually fleshed out to include a whole family that turned into the TV show we know as Good Times.
Give me one good reason why you married me.
You was pregnant.
James, you ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Baby, you know I'm just joking.
That ain't nothing to joke about. Suppose when the kids had heard you said they was born out of wedlock.
Wouldn't bother me none. I
Another show was All in the Family. Now, on that show, the neighborhood black kid, Lionel, who looked damn near 30, had his character built out to what became the Jeffersons. Then there's What's Happening, which was built off the movie Cooley High, and Sanford and Son, which was adapted from an English sitcom. So when Lear recently passed, black people stepped up to give your boy Tyler and all of the world a well-needed history lesson. I told y'all history is important. Letting him know who Eric Monte was exactly. Now, we can only assume, because over all the years of speculation, accusation, legal turmoil, addiction, blackballing, and all of that, Norman never chose to directly address the claims, but did pay out a small settlement to the man who may very well have been a very big part of his success. I mean, with all of these shows, which sounds more credible? The claim that a New York Jewish man had such a knack for understanding the inner workings and complexities of black life that he was able to develop and create these successful shows, even though he had no black friends, especially when there weren't many at the time, or that a black man who grew up in the Cabrini Green projects in Chicago, who moved to LA to become a writer and wrote about his life. I'm just asking, which one sounds more credible? Y'all let me know, right? Now, while it doesn't give much solace to know that this man, who is still alive, mind you, and his story are coming out, I'm glad to know that it's not just me who knows the truth. And now you know it too. Well, at least the version of it that until Norman's passing wasn't even discussed. I mean, we're just coming off the second longest writers' strike in Hollywood history, and that's for writers that actually get credit. I can only imagine how many ghosts of writers past are still in Norman's closet. Wait, I'm sorry, that's supposed to read ghost writers. My apologies. Now, if you are up to check out the full tragic and outright treacherous story of Eric's Hollywood fight with the backstabbing, blacklisting, and black fisting, pause, check out the full story in the description. But I'll ask you, have you ever had something like your intellectual property stolen and someone else profited from it? What do you do to get satisfaction? I mean, especially if you don't have the money or the means to sue. And at what point do you give up, if ever? I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments down below. Speaking of the Jeffersons and old ass sitcoms well into syndication before I was even thought of, do you remember this lady? This beautiful chocolate sister was one of the first to have a regular role as a sister in a racially mixed marriage, playing Helen and wife to her TV husband, Tom. Nice. And Tom, I didn't even like Uncle Tom. Yeah, well, this beautiful chocolatey chick who also married a white man in real life is none other than Roxy Roker, mother of one Leonard Albert. Fun fact, little Leonard would eventually grow up to be rock legend and American woman vocalist Lenny Kravitz, and he's had enough of our shit, or at least that's what media outlets would have you to believe. Recently, in a GQ interview, your boy Lenny revealed his frustrations when it comes to receiving acknowledgement, recognition, or even an invitation from our black award outlets. Now, I can't lie, back when I had the cable with the boot on it, shout out to my fam who used to work for Time Warner Cable back in the day. Thank you very much, cuz. I never saw anything outside of R&B, neo soul, rap, and hip hop on BET. So with that, I can definitely understand Lenny getting kind of upset. Bruh, he can't get an invite to the BET Awards? Hell, I got one of them. I mean, we can get En Vogue singing Free Your Mind, which was basically a rock song, but we can't get Fly Away to play? I mean, I can't lie. I like when I finally was able to get to watch MTV and TRL so I could get up on groups like the Bloodhound Gang, System of a Down, and Lenny Kravitz. But I never heard any of his stuff on what you can call black TV stations, right? I mean, being real with it. And then when you think about it, I mean, we just talked about knowing history in the last story, y'all. And I mean, we created rock music. It's literally, we did that. We did it. So why don't more of us participate in it? I mean, does it take too much skill to learn to play an instrument and sing at the same time? I think Stevie, her, Tank, and Alicia don't have an issue with that. So what is it? Has the takeover of the genre by our Caucasian counterparts in blues, jazz, and country as well, all hours, could that have been such that we no longer want to even participate? Why would you want to live by the limits on you that were set by people whose validation you don't even seek? I mean, we may never know your reason, but we know that Lenny had zero problem stepping into the field and etching his name. But while calling out the BET Awards for no invite, he also said he didn't get one from the Source Awards either. And I would tell you to consider yourself lucky, brother, because after what Benzino and Suge Knight did to that brand, trust, Lenny, you ain't missing shit. But I am hopeful to see some solidarity between our black artists. I mean, who wouldn't want to see what a Kanye Kravitz collaboration could sound like? Or maybe something with Kravitz and her, Pharrell, or Erykah Badu. I hear Andre 3000 recently learned a new instrument. I know he didn't talk about new music, Lenny didn't, but one can only imagine a black rock version of Hey Ya with 3 Stacks and Kravitz in the matching green polo fits. I'm just saying, I could see that. I could see that. Maybe I'm the only one. Sorry. And real quick, I look back and your boy been out and doing this since 1989 at least, and he ain't even got a single invitation. Not one invitation to turn down? Okay, we might have dropped the ball on your boy with that one, for real. But honestly, what do you all think of this? Personally, I didn't know that he had been out that long, but I'm glad to know that he has had that level of longevity, in addition to being a living version or having a living version of what someone called the rock star life. I mean, I honestly wonder how much of that Zoe got. I swear, y'all, I swear, sometimes the stories just all seem to be connected at times. So, not to be outdone in a great story of mother and son with Roxy and Lenny, we'll shift to the more athletic side of things and still look into a little story of a mother and her son. So you're the Chicago Blackhawks and haven't had a true legend in your midst since Jonathan Toews, and you drafted the LeBron equivalent on ice skates. By the way, LeBron, if you retire and join the ice capades, let me know, because I'm sure that my baby boy would love it. Just saying. That especially skilled player would be, or actually was, Connor Bedard. Seen here, I'm going to say in his middle school photo. Okay, so the Chicago Blackhawks draft the next Jeremy Roenick, LeBron James athlete, all wrapped up in one, and the season begins just as any other, right? But little did the Blackhawks know, they had a Delonte West in their midst. That's right, as far as speculations go. You have apparently one mother and son trip for the team, and the next thing you know, your mother and your teammate are doing a horizontal mambo under your nose. Allegedly. So you're thinking your mother is pure and virtuous, only to find out your mother is indeed for the streets. Now, all of this is alleged. See, the actual story provided by the team officials is that during the mother-son trip, fellow teammate and apparently one hell of a lay, allegedly, Corey Perry was on the team at the same time, recently added to the roster as the veteran presence. The 30-year-old, not much younger than Mary Melanie Bedard, mother of Connor, was seen in the midst of signing autographs and doing nothing but being the statesman that he was brought in to be. Then the next day, Corey was suspended and subsequently released from the squad. However, the reason to date has not been released. The only information that we have is from Perry, who stated that he will be checking himself into rehab to address an alcohol issue. And who knows, that may be the real reason. But we don't like convenient stories, right? We're humans. We hate convenience. We like that wild shit that sounds off the wall and having you jumping out of trees. But without the facts to back it up, how are we any different than the people making National Enquirer stories and AI? But it honestly could be anything. What do you think the issue is or was? Drop your info in the comments down below. So I guess a day's in, I brought this story up to show you what I was seeing. And just about every outlet, they said that the two slept together as if it's already a fact. But according to team officials, that's like almost the absolute opposite of what took place. Maybe we'll never know, and that's okay. Personally, I would rather have the story be right than just be entertaining with it. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the black man difference. Moving on. Now, if you are anywhere near the periphery of the state of Missouri, then you've probably heard about what took place this past Sunday afternoon. Another truck got stuck underneath the damn Truman Bridge. I mean, how many signs do you need? Also, the Chiefs lost. That's right. And hey, my Bears won. That's right. They won. You know, honestly, I don't think I've been able to experience a Bears loss and a Chiefs win on the same day at all this year. Man, I don't know. Somebody go back and look. But seriously, folks, did y'all see that play that your boy Mahomes did with Kelsey? I mean, that is definitely something that you create in your head, play with a few times at practice, but you never try it in the game. Unless it works, right? So here's the setup, right? It's 2nd and 10. Your team's down by 3 points, losing 17-20. You've got a minute and some change left in the game, and you just passed the midfield marker on your side of the field. But you've got Mahomes, so no real worry, right? Well, that's if you don't have Kadarius Toney on your damn team. Seems the man has the uncanny ability to be hella hot and hella cold in the same game. More so the latter than the former. Anyway. But sometimes even in the same quarter, without a lick of reason as to what cut him off. As a former player, all I can guess is that there's something going on in that man's head. I mean, okay, I wouldn't necessarily say he's a head case. Okay, maybe I stand corrected. Okay, so clock's ticking and you're down, but you've got a decent defense and one of the best tight ends in the league. So you snap the ball, you see your sure-handed tight end streaking along the sideline. You make a great toss to your future Hall of Famer. As defenders close in on him in pursuit, he sees another teammate, Kadarius Toney, across the field to his left. Backwards passes being allowed in the league, Kelsey tosses to Toney, who runs it in for the score and the victory. Right? Wait a minute. There was a penalty on the play. So, touchdown is called back, and replay footage shows that Kadarius was lined up offsides. So ultimately the Chiefs lose, and normally pretty cool-headed Mahomes is anything but. I mean, homie is heated. Hurling heavy helmets, Mahomes heaved headless holders, held with the hold of heaven's hero and had at it, having the cojones to still keep that hair hat intact. Thank you. And that's to say, I mean, well, you can see what he did. And Pat was rightfully mad. But honestly, I think he had it mixed. Now, the refs, for what it's worth, were doing their jobs. And they called the game, and specifically that play, correctly. So now, I think your boy Mahomes let all the frustrations of continually hitting receivers in the chest, in the hands, and in stride with the ball off of the receivers not to catch it. That's kind of the thing they're paid to do. It's kind of their thing, you know what I'm saying? And your boy KT, he was even worse with it because he was the reason for the callback. And he's been the reason you lost games. Okay, I won't put it all on him, but some of those close losses, those probably would have been closer with 1 or 32 of those catches being actually received that he dropped. Now, according to this chart, he's only dropped 3 passes this year so far, but they've got to be pretty memorable to the point that he ain't even leading the team. But if you ask anyone, they swear he is the drop king. But that ain't even what lost this one. It was the fact that he lined up past the line of scrimmage. Bruh, that's elementary shit. How long you been playing this sport? You know what I'm saying? Like, once you select your position or have it selected for you, don't you spend like forever learning where you're supposed to line up and win? I'm just saying, I see your boy Mahomes all pissed and trying to put this on anybody but who is at fault. And I got to say, I don't like it. It's just not good on you, Mahomes, I'm saying. I mean, he was trying to blame the refs, but they ain't playing receiver. Kadarius is. Sometimes. Other times he's complaining that he's not even getting the ball, like he did right before he got the ball and scored, which was after he was offsides. Damn crybaby. You got to get rid of these head cases. I'm just saying, you can't. Just saying. I ain't gonna lie, I'm feeling hella good with 2 back-to-back wins for the first time in the Uber lose era. So I'm sorry, Kansas City. I mean, I know I live here and all that, but I'm still gonna be a Bears fan till I die. Quit playing. So I'm just gonna be happy with the little victory we got, and I'm not sitting there trying to rub it in nothing or nothing like that. Pause. I just said I'm sitting there feeling myself like your girl Tweet doing a remix with LMA. Pause. Now, I don't care if the Bears make this year's playoffs or if the Chiefs miss them, but losing 2 NFC North teams ain't the way to show the world that you're ready for prime time, KC. I'm just saying. I just wonder who your boy Mahomes is going to be hurling helmets at next time when another perfectly thrown pass hits the turf after hitting the receiver square in the chest. Speaking of Missouri, it is a Midwest state where people live, and here's a fun fact. Next year, we will be raising minimum wage. Now, this raise in wage is a little more significant in that this is the first of its kind as part of the Proposition B increases that have been raising the wage by 85 cents every year since 2018, when the wage was $7.85, bringing it to its current amount of $12 per hour or $6 an hour if you work for tips. Now, believe it or not, Missouri has the 6th lowest cost of living in the nation, but you have a hard time getting locals to believe that when looking at the recent rash of rent raisings. Roll. So the state is raising the minimum wage on January 30th by 30 cents. This extra 30 cents is more than just an increase in wages, it's also an indicator of sorts. Considering this raise is due to help maintain whatever current spending power that you're at, this may be a pretty big deal, according to the University of Missouri economics professor Joe Haslag, who says that this could be an indication of lowering inflation rates and a continued expectation of such taking place over the next months. So ultimately, this should be keeping things pretty regular for teens and fast food and some gig workers, with the Missouri Department of Labor keeping the overtime at 1.5 times the current rate, or a little bit over $18 per hour. Now, conversely, on the other side, you have to imagine some small business owners and others who have a board, investors, and or stockholders to keep happy, right? Some of those people are probably going to be discontinuing some of those positions come next year, with a change to take place statewide on January 1st for all private and non-exempt employees. Now, this increase does not affect public workers. But when you pull all that glorious money back, are we an overspending nation or are we overinflating? I mean, that's to say, basically, do we spend too much or are the costs of things just too damn high? I mean, I'm just wondering, because there used to be a time when we would adjust our activity based on the resources available. Now, it seems that we're all just used to everything. Oh, God. Am I getting old? I think I'm getting old. I might be getting old. Because I'm sitting there sounding like the person that you hated to listen to as a kid that would talk about back in my day. And yet, here the fuck I am. So I am really go telling myself here, but I remember when I got my first actual job, right? Now, my first job, I was working for my mother, so she paid me a lot more than minimum wage. But my first actual job, where I had to pay taxes on it, or at least report it to my parents, I was being paid $4.25 an hour. I was 16 years old, working at the Italian eatery in downtown Chicago on the corner of Clark and, was it Monroe? I think it was Clark and Monroe, called Sbarro's, along with two of my homies from the neighborhood, right? Along that same time, gas was under $1 in Chicago. I think this was it was like around 70 cents or something like that summer. But if you compare the income, rent, gas, and costs of a gallon of milk, you know, all of that stuff between then and now, do you think things will be about the same across the board, or will there be a blaring increase? And why haven't the wages kept up with the inflation? Fun fact, over the past 60 years, wages have generally stalled with respect to inflation. Now, that's to say you may have more money than maybe your daddy did or your grandparents did, but you still can't buy any more today than you could in that same position about 30 years ago. Now, thankfully, there are a lot of roles that have been created that didn't even exist back then. YouTuber, for example. But with jobs created, there are also jobs lost. So with that, I'll ask again, do we spend too much, or is the cost of stuff just too damn high? And why won't your boss pay you to live next door to him? Now, I won't lie. I do have some thoughts on this. I mean, I'm just saying, what with all these ads on any and every device that makes noise outside of my son's play keyboard so far, but what do you expect when they keep raising the price of everything? The access to other things is shut off. The money has a depreciating value. The national debt is high. And some people just don't want to take on the potential costs associated with conventional education. What are you supposed to, how do you get out of that? Like, what do you think the solution should be here? Seriously, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments down below. But with that, this has been The Black Man Show. Once again, I have been 7 Black Men, and you can get a shirt like this on the Etsy store found at the link below, or you can check it out in the description. Please be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons and share this video with all your baby's mamas and they mamas and the baby mamas as we continue to grow this thing out. You can also hit us up on showtheblackman@gmail.com for the Ask a Black Man segment or for any other reason. And of course, you can follow the show on all the socials at Show the Black Man. Thank you all for watching this far. If you like this one, then get caught up on some of our earlier episodes and go buy a hoodie. Ain't it Christmas time? Don't you need a unique and fun gift this holiday season? I'm just saying. Listen, I appreciate each and every one of you. So please, until next time, take care of each other. Peace.